Welcome to the Millennial Mic.
I'm Ali,
I'm Joe,
and this is the Millennial Mic.
Content for us, by us.
Welcome back to another episode of the Millennial Mic. Joe and I are joined by Emmy-nominated recording artist, producer, songwriter, creative, and all-round inspirational human, none other than Tessellated. Tess made a big entrance onto the music scene with his 2017 hit single Pine and Ginger, which he collaborated on with Mindy K. Frost and Valleys. Tess continues to make waves in the music industry. In 2019, he landed a deal with Apple to showcase his track, I Just Learned Some Jazz Today, in their Bounce ad for AirPods. In today's episode, we'll learn more about Tess's journey through music to professional success and the inspiration behind his work. As my childhood friend and someone both Joe and I admire a lot, we're so delighted to have this conversation. Tess, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thank you for the amazing intro, guessing me up.
Thank you for being here.
So, Tess, we've been preparing for this interview by listening to Pine and Ginger all morning. And so, our first warm-up question is, what is your favorite song? And are you ready to give us a sample?
It doesn't have to be one of your songs. It can be any song.
Yeah.
Favorite, you see me, you can't ask for those type of ultimatum questions where it's like
All
a
right,
single favorite,
song right now.
Okay, right now, what's I've been listening? Okay, there's a few different things I've been listening to right now. I still don't know if I can pick one song, but I can give you a few.
Okay, hit us.
I've definitely been listening to enough songs off a Protege's project. I think Self Defense is probably my favorite off that project.
Love that.
Rema, one of his older projects, there's a song called Rewind. I've been bumping a lot lately. And who else?
Joe and I are just vigorously nodding our head for people
There's
who can't see us.
We're writing that down. One more, I think my Regent Toby Lou had a project that dropped last year. I've been listening to this song called Hot Tub Dream Machine off that project too. That's really good.
Okay.
So yeah, those are my top 3 right now.
Okay, so which of the 3 are you ready to give us a sample of?
A sample? How much give a sample of a next man song? Like what?
All right, he just did a sample of a Test song then.
Yeah.
How about a Test song? All right, which one? You guys can pick, but can't be Pine and Ginger.
Okay. Jazz then. Yeah.
Jazz. All right, cool.
Or is there like a song that you feel is less well known that you really like
to expose people to?
Oh, less well known. I think my favorite song. Well, no, I don't think it's my favorite. But I think, one of my favorite songs I released is "Searching."
I love "Searching."
Yeah, I think that one.
Okay, let's
is
hit
a
it.
vibe. Okay. I didn't know it's in like a performance vibe. So
we just gotta keep you on your toes here at the Millennial Mic.
Facts. I have to make sure I know the key signature. I've been searching my life for the words in my mind got me hurting bad guy, certain Lord. I've been searching my life for the words in my mind got you hurting bad guy, me not certain. All right, boom, sample.
Love it.
Fire. All right, Tess, what's your favorite hobby right now?
Hobby, my favorite hobby other than music, definitely photography right now.
Okay, why do you call music your hobby? Sorry, that just has to be a follow-up question.
Because I like to do it for fun.
Okay, not just for work.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, so photography.
Because it was definitely started as a hobby. Yeah.
I know you've taken my picture, like an old school.
Yes, I have taken a picture.
That's
one of my favorite pictures.
Oh, thanks.
That's so nice.
I love it too. I feel not exposed because I don't have on any makeup or anything, but that's the vibe.
But look clean though. Make you look clean still and never do you wrong.
No, you didn't do me wrong.
But yeah. So I mean, dabbling a few different art related activities, right? So I do, a little bit of like painting and thing, some like graphic design and stuff. Like I actually have designed like a lot of my own cover arts for most of my songs, actually.
Yeah.
And then photography, I actually really got started into photography through film photography.
Mm.
I really like, like the very tactile process of like, you load in the film, you take in the film, and it's almost like a surprise. Like, you have to wait and see, like, did you get the picture you want? Did you not get it? Like,
Yeah.
did it
Yeah,
turn
the
out
develop
something else?
process.
Like, did something get caught in the background you didn't even realize? And I developed my own film too. But since I've been in JA for a minute and I don't have access to the chemicals and stuff I need to actually develop my film,
Right.
Mhm.
which is unfortunate. I've shot a bunch of film down here, so I got into some more digital photography, and yeah, I've just been taking the time to just enjoy the art of it, and actually the dope thing about digital is just get a lot more chance to take a lot more photos and
Mm.
practice the composition. So when I get back my film now, I can just have like the skills up. So that's been my main like pastime that I've been just
It's
dealing with
especially
recently.
during Rona.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of interesting, and Jamaica's a super interesting place. Like even on the street, like enough time I drive on the street and I pull over and like take a picture, it's like something that's happening because it's just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just interesting, like super visual, and the people are very like visually stunning. Like we kind of take it for granted, but there's so many colors and like vibrant things going on.
Preach.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so true.
So, with that, creative experience and the way in which you observe and consume content, especially locally, what's something that has really struck you in your photography career, or just the creative elements of what you do that you felt you wish more persons really knew about, or you wish more people were exposed to?
Um, I don't even know if I necessarily wish more people were exposed to it,
Mm-hmm.
or anything. Because to be honest, like I mean, even with music, at the end of the day, like I do these things for myself and like my own enjoyment first.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Um, so even with like my other art stuff, like yeah, like I have some paintings that I think are dope. I have some photos that I think are dope. Um,
Mm.
some of my photos actually got published in the paper the other day. People didn't even know it's me that took them.
Oh,
Um,
Yeah.
awesome.
but I don't really care that much because it's more like
Is that self-fulfillment
yeah,
versus
it's just like
just
I'm
putting
doing
it
it
out there?
like to
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
something like wow, like I really like this, like cool, like this is something I enjoy, like I can keep this and remember it. And I think it's something that I actually had to train myself in a sense too, because there's parties I was like, yeah, I want to do this and that, and because
Right.
music was my main thing, and that turned into a career. There's a part of me that's always like, oh, like I can make a career out of so many things, or I could be a photographer as well. I could do this and that, but I realized even music, like taking it to that level adds so much more stress, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it can actually take away from the pure enjoyment a lot. So I think for a lot of my other things, I want to be able to just keep them at a level where I don't have to worry about making money. I don't have to worry about making people know where I go on. I can just do them and just enjoy them and keep them like nice and pure. There's something like as like a
Something
like
that's
a
really for
release for me.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So here is the really hard question we have for you, right?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm
Are
excited.
you a dog or a cat person? And yes, there is a wrong answer.
Whew.
There is a wrong answer. Okay, well here's the thing. I'm gonna first thing. That's a very loaded question, right? I have I have I have several dogs and cats, right? First thing, right?
It's true. He literally picks them up on the street
Yeah, I
and
just
takes
picked up
them
a dog
home.
on the street the other day, right? But I have several dogs and cats, right? And I love them both, but they're two different types, right? It's apples and
Oh.
oranges. Because here's the thing, and I think they bring different things to the table. So
Mm.
to me, a dog is like that very. It's almost like they're there to provide like support, right,
They're
and
always in your corner.
happiness, right? They're always in your
Yeah.
corner,
Unconditional vibes.
like fully, like no matter what I go on, like I know, so if I go home and my dogs in there, like them I go come, them I go want to jump up on me, them want this and that, them want to play, like no matter what. So they're
Like,
almost like they're
Dad, you're
like a
home.
source of joy, right? And they bring
Yeah.
joy into your life, right?
Yeah.
Um, Cats on the other hand, I
It's
see
the
a cat,
most philosophical response we've had
right?
to this question.
I see a, I see a cat almost more like a, a partner, right? Or like an actual like person, right? Because here's the thing, there's nobody in your life, right? Because here's the thing, some people be like, oh, yo, cats, they just mean, they just this and that, and they're not gonna come around like, yo, we see the cat and he's after me, whatever. But here's the thing, like, you would never expect a person in your life to always be just running up on you and just being like, hey, I'm just here to serve you. Hey, like, no matter what you do to me, like, I'm going to love you, like, whatever. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, there's no friend, there's no family member, no matter how much you love them, that you're always in a good mood with them, right?
Yeah.
So, or you're just always in a good mood as a person. Like, you, sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with other people. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. So, I know my cats, yo, they're moody. Like, sometimes I don't do nothing. And the man, them just, like, we try to pet them and them just
Vex.
look on me and just cut, right? But then again, like yo, like my sister do that to me sometime, my brother do that to me sometime, I do that to other people sometime. So it's
Yeah.
almost more like yo, it's like a small human. You get me?
Yeah.
And it shows say yo, like we can par, we can be bridgings, but like they live in their own life. You get me? A dog's life revolves around you. A cat's like you're just a part of a cat's life.
Independent.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I love them
Right.
both. Though.
For those different reasons. I love it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I feel like that's one of the best responses
No,
we've gotten.
because I feel like most people choose, but then like you fully explained the philosophy behind both, and I get it because dogs give you that very like blind loyalty, while like
Yeah,
cat is very much like, hey, I'll be here with you today, but tomorrow we're not so sure.
yeah. It's just
So
like what
you
for
know,
still
it's
go on, you know.
creating that really, yeah. So
I
you
don't
And
know.
really
I
like
have
your
a dog though
person.
that like has cat-like behaviors,
mm,
like or cat-like
Mm.
tendencies. Like she'll lie down in front of you to get patted, and if you don't pat her, she like box you like with her paw,
Oh
which is a very cat-like
wow.
thing to do.
no,
True.
definitely.
True.
You know,
Yeah.
but I
Like
rate it.
yo,
I'm like, yeah, reciprocity, my girl.
no, for real, like, you feel me? And I think to also, I feel like cats. I saw somewhere say like people say like yo, cats are like a listening consent because yo, if a dog, no matter what you do, like it's like dog is like okay, do whatever you want. You get me? But a cat
Yeah,
is
Yeah.
like yo,
cat's like, yo, I gotta say
I
yes.
have to say yes, or I'm going to box you. You get me? Like you're going to get scratched right now. um, but yeah, I also like birds too. That's a side note.
Oh.
I feel like we need to explore this.
Yeah.
Talk to us. Like, what's the love with the
Birds,
birds?
I don't know. I've always like just thought they were just really cool. Like they can fly straight up. Like there's nothing more than that. Like
Yeah, that's
you get
wild. That like
Yeah.
you can live in a whole other section of the planet.
a
Like that.
whole other
Like that's
section of the
how
planet, right?
Yeah.
like
And
water
they can
animals are for me
And you
too.
can
I
explore
feel
exactly
like there's
different
a better term for that.
environments, you know? Yeah.
aquatic.
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 So you know,
I
every
know,
time Josh and I have a conversation, him schooling me. There you go.
no, but
Yeah.
it's it's very yeah, the birds. And when I was younger, one time I found an injured bird, right, and I actually took it in, and it eventually died. But it was
Oh
a very
no.
like it was just like a wild animal, but it was chilling because I realized I was trying to help it. And then
Yeah.
another time I had some like parakeets, and they were cool too. I had them for like for a few years. Um yeah, so yeah, birds. One day, like when I have a more like settled life, I'm gonna get. I wanted a dove, right? I think they seem very calm and just peaceful, like
Mm,
they'll be chilling. I like the sound, I like the cooing sound that they make. Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
and also probably like a parrot, just because they're super intelligent, and
But I feel like you're not gonna want to put them in cages.
no, definitely not. I'm gonna train them to just be chilling in the ends. You get me?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All
Love
right.
it.
Before we go off onto an Animal Planet
Yeah,
tangent, we want to make sure that we root today's conversation in the journey that you've been on
create a
and
journey.
what other up and coming artists can learn from that journey and you. So, with that in mind, share with us a bit more about kind of the inception of everything. I know that Pine and Ginger was like the public inception.
Yeah. So,
And
yeah,
we want to know about, what it was like to make that first hit song kind of experience, but also just the whole journey for you.
all right. So yeah, I like how you clarified that like Pine Ginger is the public's first is in viewing of my career, but
Right.
naturally it really started long before that.
Nothing
Because
overnight.
I think a lot of people don't understand. They're like, oh yo, the man just make a tune and it just go on. It's like nah, bro.
Yeah.
Like I made a bag of tune, and most of them are
Yeah.
trash, right? Um, so yeah, like I mean, music in general. I've been involved with music. It's been a part of my life from a young age, playing instruments, this and that. Um, but my conscious journey to say like actually want to pursue music seriously started when I was about 15, right?
Mm.
And like 15 going on, or maybe like just turned 16. And I really started DJing, and I started like I downloaded some things and started producing some little some little ideas and whatnot, right? They're like very, very basic.
Mm-hmm.
And like I just continued with that. And at the time it was I wasn't recording or singing or anything like that. It was just beats, like electronic type beats, like
Mm-hmm.
Major Lazer type vibes, house music, trap music, right? Like electronic trap music, dubstep, them type of thing there.
Mhm.
And it really was just a process of just making a lot of music, and also releasing a lot. Like during that period, was also the time where SoundCloud was really
Yeah.
getting towards its heyday, like where it was peak SoundCloud, which actually is actually ridiculous how much that short era I think has even affected the music industry today, and how
Right.
many big artists and big producers have like blossomed out of that. Because whole heap of my friends that I met through that
Yeah.
are literally like racking up like 100 million plays on songs and things right now, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I think it was a community, right? Even though it was online, that it fostered the creativity, and almost like in like a friendly competition vibes, where everyone was pushing to be better or impress the other people. So that was a big part of everything. So when I was doing these things and releasing stuff on SoundCloud, like 16 to 18. Then I got a scholarship. I went to Full Sail in Orlando
Mm.
for audio engineering and music production. Try to learn some more technical aspects of things there.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the program there. I stayed in that program for about a year and a half. But while I was there, it was also, I think, one of the biggest parts of it was the community aspect of it. So I honestly don't think I learned that much there that I couldn't have learned elsewhere.
Mm.
But just being around in person a bunch of people who take music very seriously and want to make a career out of music, it's just like a mental shift, right?
Right.
And I think that's important because a lot of times, there's a very negative or a very cynical um state of mind that people have towards the arts. So when you're telling people listen that, even if they might
Yeah.
be like, oh, that's cool, their energy is actually very negative, and that can bring you down, especially
Yeah.
like especially in Jamaica. Enough people are like, yo, doctor lawyer, doctor lawyer.
Yeah.
um and I mean, thankfully my family was not like that, right? They're always very supportive. But even just like friends and aunts and uncles and just the general people, when people are constantly like looking, not necessarily looking down, but they don't believe in you, and you're having to, you feel like you're fighting against all of this, right? And that's on top
Yeah.
of actually trying to do what you want. Whereas when you're around people who are on the same path as you, and you see people ahead of you even, and you say, oh wow, these people are doing it, and they're not even thinking twice about it, they're just doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really helps to move forward. So there, in Orlando, there's the same thing, another community, the studio called Studio 18, I ended up living at and working at. And it's a whole heap of musicians from around the place and whatnot. And it was while there, I actually started recording. And while like during that time period is when like Pan and Ginger got made. And from then, a whole heap of other opportunities came up. And from there, I mean, it's kind of easier to track, because it's like, okay, you
Right.
did this,
Yeah.
you did that, you did this. But yeah, it was really while I was there that happened. And same thing through SoundCloud. I met Values through like SoundCloud DMs. I could follow each other, like each other's music. He grew up in North Florida. He visited Orlando for a weekend. We linked up, and then the
Yeah.
next week, my roommate had to suddenly move out, um, and he hit me up saying, I'm thinking about like maybe coming and spend some time in Orlando. I was like, yo, I have a room. And
Yeah.
like the week
So
after that, we were
perfect.
roommates, right? Like just from SoundCloud. And then like a couple of months after that, we just ended up making Pine and Ginger in the yard.
That's
And we sent
crazy.
the things to Mindy, and she sent us back. We didn't even meet her in person until
No way.
like we were filming like the video.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know what's really fascinating about sharing the journey is the fact that you mention a lot about community and being open to sharing with others and other creatives. And so we just want to know, based on your assessment of, let's say, the creative landscape in Jamaica, what do you think is going right with it? Do you think that that community based thinking is here? And if not, what do you think we could do to foster that creative community?
Right now, I think for the Jamaican community, it is going perfectly right. I think everybody's doing exactly what needs to be done, right? Which is amazing to be able to say, because for a long time, even like as a much younger person doing music, it was very frustrating us looking around and seeing like what I felt was like so much wasted potential in the
Mm.
country. That there's so many talented people, there's so much amazing things being made, and there's so many people elsewhere in the world actually taking those creative ideas and making money off of them and getting
Yeah.
notoriety off of them. So now I think it's pretty much like a renaissance type of movement happening,
Yeah.
where there's a movement, right? 'Cause it's not one or two people, it's like several people
Yeah.
doing
Who would
really
you
good
say is
music.
like kind of in that modern transition towards a type of sound, for example, that like you have?
Okay.
Like you, Protege.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like me, I think Protege is especially dope and important character because he's like really like the generation before, right?
Yeah.
But he's
Like kind of
helped
like the
to,
father of this new movement.
yeah, like he's part of the generation before, and he's helped to like usher in this new thing, right? So he's like
Mhm.
on the borderline, but he's still, I would think, part of this, because he's still doing like very new and fresh things consistently, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So while he was in the generation before, so he's still a part of this generation. So he's like that crossover, that bridge between the two, right? And you
Yeah.
definitely have me, you have people like Naomi Cowan, you have Zach Jones, Runkus, Coffee, obviously, you have Royal Blue, PRG Kid, Savannah, Lila Ike, you have Jazz Elise, you have whole heap of producers, you have like JLL, you have Ayotosh, right? You have
Yeah.
Zia, you have Zia Benjamin,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you have, let me think,
I hope the audience is taking notes.
to take these notes.
Save
You have,
these
yeah, you have people
artists.
like Banton, right? Super dope. Cone, super dope producer. Um, there's so many people. I said like I don't want to leave out people, but there's just so many people that people I would get left out. But them knows I love them same way. And the dope thing is like, for example, all these people, I can tell you, like, I know all these people personally. These are the homies, right? And they all know each other personally, right?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
not on like a not on like a business level either. I'm like, yo, let's link up and like do
Par.
whatever, part,
Yeah.
whatever. It's a vibe.
Par for our international audience means hang out.
Yeah, right. So the thing is
Kick
that
it.
that's so important, because what it shows, like, it's actually a movement, right? Not a fake movement,
Yeah.
not a created
Yeah.
thing where somebody's like, okay, we're gonna
A
orchestrate
real
this,
community.
make it look like it's a real community, right? And and all these people, all of our music is unique, but all of it comes from the same essence, where it's like, yo, where it's Jamaican music, but it's not like what the people necessarily expect. It's a little
Yeah.
bit different. Everybody have their
Yeah.
own twist to it, right? Like, I fuse my things. I might do like a little more fusion and do jazz and hip hop and Cuban music and a whole heap of different
Yeah.
things.
More
Like,
your sound.
yeah, well, like Zach, Zach adding that, like him love old school hip hop, right? Like that 90s era hip hop. So that's what him blending with there. And you have people like Sev, who's like super, R&B. You have people like Naomi, where like she like have that super old school energy, but it feels fresh and new, and it's like rootsy, but yet it's not like what you'd expect from like a roots person. And also
Yeah.
Yeah.
her image is not they say like, oh, like, yo, you have to be like a roots rasta, like bun down, bob down, whatever. It's like, nah, like, yo, she fresh, dress up, whatever, but it's still authentic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone is just authentic to themselves, which is what's the crazy thing. And then the other part is like, it doesn't just end with the music, right? It carries over into everything. But the music is just one aspect of it. But when you look at the arts, right? You have people like Solus, right? Joshua Solus. You have like Taj Francis, right? Them
Yeah.
man
Yeah.
are like doing crazy artwork, and they're actually doing artwork and visuals for a lot of these musicians, right?
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
is
And
an awesome connect.
which is crazy connection, and they're doing their own artworks and doing like groundbreaking things. I think their artwork is going to be legendary in the future. Same thing, you have people like Richard Natu, amazing artwork. It's like world class level artwork. Then on the film side, you have people like Storm Salter, right? You have Gabriel
Mm-hmm.
Blackwood. You see me? I don't know, so Randy, like all these people are doing crazy stuff,
Yeah.
and everybody's interconnected. Everybody knows each other, right? Um, and I think it's just like this generation of people, like they're focused on the quality, they're focused on the art first,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, they're dealing with good business practice, right? They're not trying to rob nobody for the most part. Most
Yeah.
people you can't
Yeah.
say for
Yeah,
everybody,
sorry for
but
everybody.
I also hope like internationals coming to Jamaica use local talent in the creation of their
Yeah.
creative
that
outputs,
that's the
right?
thing that
Like,
needs to go on too, right?
yeah.
I think it's happening a lot more because people are saying like, wow, like this, like some proper, like it's good, like no matter what standard is, like some good quality things are coming out of Jamaica. And that's the thing. I
Mm-hmm.
think now that we're a lot of people, I mean, and it's interesting because I feel like there's a little bit of a split in the industry. Not even a little bit. There's a big split in the industry, right? Because you have on one side you have like saying like, oh, these people I'm talking about, and I would include like also even a lot of like the more roots reggae artists in there. Like I wouldn't even call Chronix roots, even though like that's sort of his brand, but Chronix is same thing, like super forward
Modern
thinking
reggae,
music,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
modern, right? And you have a whole heap of people like all like Janine and Kelisa and
Kabako.
Kiznandi,
Yeah.
Kabaka, all these Jesse Royal, like all these people, right? And I think they're on this same side where it's like it just feels very forward thinking. It feels very global, right?
Mm.
And almost like limitless potential. And I feel like on the other side, you have like the music that's very strictly for Jamaica. That's what it feels like, at least. You get me? Where you have like some hardcore dance and thing, which I love. Don't get me wrong. Um, but I think where you see the split in terms of the audience that people are making the music for, or like where they see the vision of the music, is when it comes to everything outside the music. So like the lyrics and everything, boom, equal quality. But you'd see one side of man, they might have like, to me, a lot more interesting production or more quality mixing and mastering,
Mm-hmm.
quality videos, quality artwork. And then the other side, you have you see certain things falling flat in that regard. And that's not to say everybody, you get me? But just the trend that I tend to see. It's just very interesting how that is playing out. But like we just kind of have to watch and see what happens with that. Because to me, like I feel like same thing. Like most of these like dancer artists that are popping right now. Obviously see man like Popcorn, who's like the biggest thing in dancehall right now. His thing is fully like crossover, right? And that's because it's quality across the board. I think a lot of the other man them have the potential to even do that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? And I think everybody even have potential to go even further than what's been done so far. But it's come down to those details, right?
Yeah.
It's the details of everything, and actually, like putting the art and everything like first.
Yeah, and it's by virtue of being so intentional about your craft that you start to really see the importance of the community, the importance of showing up a certain way, and the importance of really just putting all of these elements together to create a great product, a great sound, a great appeal. Yeah, so one of the things that we really really want to hear about, I mean, you would have touched on it earlier in terms of, just some of the artists that not only are you friends, but you really admire what they're bringing to the table in terms of their creativity, their sound, and their craft. So we want to know, if we were to like see your playlist right now or
Mhm.
your music collection, who are some of the artists that we would see in there, and how have they influenced your music in any way?
Um, So you're talking about artists like Jamaican artists or artists all across the board?
Artists in general. So
Yeah, just
so
like your
so you
playlist
know,
you're
just
bumping
your
right now.
playlist. If you were to like pull up your phone or pull up your computer, and the music that you're listening to, like who are some of the artists that we would see?
Okay. Well, firstly, like every artist that I named before definitely is in there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's one person that's unnamed that I don't actually listen to their music actively.
Yeah.
Um, but on top of that, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of different people that I take influence from, and sometimes it's minor things, sometimes it's major things, sometimes it's just a mindset. You get me? So, like for example, I can tell you like Smino, right? Like probably my favorite rapper, to be honest.
Mm.
Like him, like the way he writes things is mind blowing. And I remember sitting down one day and listening to him, and something that just clicked in my brain, right? And I think that it clicked in my brain from listening to him was that like, yo, this might sound kind of weird, but like I don't have to pronounce words correctly. You get me? Like
Mm.
in a
Yeah,
song,
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
he will
Yeah.
make
It doesn't
some
have
things
to be as
rhyme.
linear.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like for example, like he will make some words rhyme that do
Do
not
rhyme.
like
Yeah.
like like literally. I've heard a man like make a 4 syllable word, right, into a 1 syllable word and make that rhyme with a 2 syllable word. It's just like it don't make sense. But I'm like, yo, I don't have to do anything, right? Like I
Yeah.
just made
It's
that.
your song.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
so like if you listen to me and his music, you might there's some similarities. You're probably not going to distinctly hear like, oh, this sound like Smino, but I know that like the inspiration or like the understanding of like a
Yeah.
certain musical thing, I was like, yo, like that literally changed the way I was writing a lot of especially like my verses and stuff because it's I'm very big on like having like a nice like flow and a rhythm and thing. I just opened up so much more opened up no broke down so many boundaries because I'm like, yo, I can do whatever. And then
Yeah.
Yeah.
for example, like certain people like Remo that I talked about before. He's super dope, but like, the biggest thing for me was like maybe it's technically not even him, but his producers just listening to the beats and listening to how certain rhythms are created. And same thing, I think the number one thing with inspiration is just all about I create what I create, right? Naturally, when you start you create something whatever,
Yeah.
but every time you hear somebody do something differently, it just opens up a new possibility. So then
Yeah.
now when I sit down to write something, whereas I might have only seen one path before, now I see 20 different paths and I
Yeah.
can mix
Right.
and match all of those different paths to create something that's then like uniquely mine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um and that's why I always say, yo, nothing is new under the sun because
Yeah.
every person has that journey. So every man we're like same thing. I look on like Protege, right? And I know I'm influenced by Protege's music, but Protege is also influenced by like 50 other man music. So every time
Yeah.
I'm influenced by Protege, I'm influenced a bit by every one of them 50 man there and everybody else. So in the end, it's just like they're everybody influencing each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
Which is
amazing.
life, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
I
yeah.
feel like I will never deny anybody's influence, whether it's somebody from the past or somebody that's even like a contemporary, or somebody that's my friend, or even somebody that's like even like younger than me, upcoming, right?
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Like what's shaky to me is when someone's like, "Yo, I'm not influenced by nothing." It's like, dog, you're just a liar, and you're not even a good
Yeah.
liar. You get me? Like
We're all influenced by our
Yeah.
exactly,
environments. Yeah.
exactly. So
But
yeah.
so Tess, talk to us a little bit about, one of the big things that we talk about on this podcast is, finding your passion and living out your purpose and how we can all do that even at our young age or like within this kind
Mhm.
of bracket of being millennial. So how did you come to realize that music was your passion and do you feel like you're living out your purpose?
I think I do. I think I'm trying to, I think purpose isn't necessarily static. So
Amen.
it is
Yeah.
today I might say this and maybe next week I realize that, something else is what I really need to be doing
Yeah.
and,
Right.
and I'll do it. And I don't think music is something that I mean I'm always gonna be a musician and whatever. I'm always gonna love creating music and enjoy music. But I don't think I'm necessarily like a recording musician for my whole life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think right now I have a lot to bring to the table, and I want to bring that to the table and do my part, even for like this whole movement in Jamaica. But maybe by the time I'm 50, I'm just like, yo, I want to have a little like villa in the grill and just like have a bed and breakfast or something like that. Like, who knows,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I think definitely it's just about the hardest part is not. I think a lot of people are like, yo, how do you find out your passion and thing? But truthfully, I think a lot of people know what they love, right? They know what they enjoy doing. They know what they feel the most in tune when they're doing, but they don't believe that they can do that or can be
yeah,
successful doing that, right?
yeah.
So I always knew that I loved doing music, and even when I started like taking a more active interest and pursued getting better at music, I knew that that was like my favorite thing to do. But the moment for me, I guess where not it's not that I realized that I wanted to do it, it's that I realized I could do it, right? Because I
Mm,
started, I was because like in early days when you're younger, like you're just exposed to the biggest artists, on the radio and TV, movies, whatever. So you're really only looking at like the biggest superstars, right?
not looking at the journey.
Exactly, and that seems so far away.
Mm,
It's like, yo, how could I even ever reach there? So then
yeah,
people are like,
Yeah.
I better not even try. But
right.
then when I got more active into music and the musical community, and I saw people who were, you know, within reach, right? So I saw people
Yeah,
who were like, yo, they're not a huge superstar, but they're doing their thing. They have a little fan base, and yo, they're paying their rent off of music, right? They're doing music full
yeah,
time, and then it was like, yo, like that guy, I don't think his things are that much better than mine. Like I know, like I could get there in a couple of years, right? If
yeah,
I put in the work, right? I know, say I could I get this many followers or plays on a song or whatever. Or I could probably get booked for that festival because I can DJ just as good, right? Um,
right.
where all of a sudden it goes from like, oh, this is impossible to like, oh, like yo, if I take this step and then that step and then that step, I could actually do this, right? So
Hmm.
that was the thing. That was the time. That was like when I was like almost 18. I realized like, yo, I can actually do this, right? I think for a lot of people, that's the hard part, right? If
Yeah,
you
it's
ask anybody right,
it's the self belief.
exactly. If I ask anybody right now, like what they love to do, right? They will tell you like, oh, yo, I love to do this. I love to do that, right?
And it's probably not what they're doing.
It's probably not what they're doing. And it's like, why? It's like, oh, X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z. But honestly, and not to say, because here's the thing also, like, as I talked about earlier on about keeping things pure, some people like to do that. So for example, I know some brethren, who I have a brethren who's a really good musician, right? He's a really good pianist and he's a producer and everything. His day job is real estate, right? And he sells
Yeah.
like some like big real estate. He has like a bag of money, to be honest. So I'm like saying, it's like what he will do is like he will like flip a
Yeah.
building. So he
That's
like
such a big thing in the US.
no, yeah. So he'll flip like
Can't do that here.
no, he can't. The market is not strong enough for that. But
No.
but interesting, like he won't even flip like a small. So like for example, he might buy out like an apartment building, and then
Oh, he flipping.
yes, but he'll turn every unit and like refurbish it into like an office and then sell out office units, right?
Oh,
Stuff like
that's
that.
wild.
So the man has bread, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, yo, bro, like yo, if I had this much money to because this is from where like I think when I we first met, I was like 19 and he was probably like 24 or whatever. So a young youth still, and he's like, yo, I'm like, dog, if I had the amount of money you're making, like, I'd invest all of that into my music. Like, I got a half a bus to get me, 'cause, like, yo, I'd be promoting everything, like, yo, I'd be my own label. And he's like, nah, like, I'm just gonna post my stuff on SoundCloud and just, I'm cool. I'm like, yo, I
Yeah.
didn't understand it, but then I
Yeah.
realized, like, yo, he's he's happy, like, he likes his main job too, right? And he loves music. But I think being around so many people who are in the industry and thing, and it become the stress of like, yo, I'm not gonna lie, music stressed me out enough time, right? Um, like even like on a daily basis, actually. and I still love it, but
Yeah.
it's not the same as when I could just build something on this thing. Like I definitely have those moments where I'm in the studio, I'm alone by myself, and I tap into that joy. But there's so much more around it, and some people just don't want that, all of that stress associated with the thing they love. They'd rather keep the thing they love as their pure release and just do something else for work, and they're happy with that.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to be, but I think a lot of people do want to pursue things, but it's just a fear,
Caught up
right?
in the fair, yeah.
It's a fear. But nowadays,
I
honestly,
think we
there's
can
so many
all relate
ways.
to that.
There's so many ways to do things. You get me?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like literally, like when you have people streaming, right? People go online, s- video themselves playing games and making a living off of that.
Yeah.
You can
It's
make a living
wild.
off of
And
anything, right?
millions
That's
of dollars
amazing.
at
I
that.
mean, even
Millions
the
of
Yeah.
dollars.
fear that like Joe Marie and I had about starting this podcast could have totally prevented us from doing it. Like, how are we
Yeah.
going to find the money to produce this? Are people going to sponsor us? Like, how are we
Yeah.
going to get guests? And
And the thing
once we
is,
took that leap, we're able to kind of start answering all of those questions.
and then in
Yeah,
answering those questions, you realize that it's really a shift in your mindset, because
exactly.
once you realize that, okay, I've moved from how am I going to get this done? I've moved from can I get this done to, okay, how am I going to get this done? Just that simple, subtle shift will make it feel more possible. And I wish, as you mentioned, I really wish more people stepped into that, because I feel like there are less people who are trying to preserve the sanctity of what they love to do, and more people who want to actually step into it, but they really feel like, okay,
Yeah.
they grew up hearing that, look, you have to be a lawyer, doctor, Indian chief. So if it's not one of those things, you
Yeah,
can't really be a part of it. And full
yeah,
disclosure, like, I'm a lawyer, but at the same time, being a creative is
facts,
something that I've always known. That's where my heart lies. So I
She
figured
facts.
out,
loved to
how
write
do you, yeah,
legal
like,
things,
how do you, no,
but
I love
she
the law.
also is
Yeah.
an amazing
Yeah,
graphic designer.
because that's the thing. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong. There's nothing knocking a doctor or a lawyer either.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the thing is, like, I've some brethren that are doctors, right? And them love doctoring. Yo, you see me? One of them say, yo, getting up, treat some patients. And it's a dope job still. You get me?
Yeah.
Same thing with being a
Yeah.
Yeah.
lawyer. Like,
You get
I
to
think, I
touch
think,
people's life.
I think being a lawyer is like exciting still.
Yeah.
But I think what
I
we have to
think
realize is that we're all dialectical, right? As
Exactly.
people, like
That doesn't
different parts of
understand
us can
anything.
exist.
And I think that's the part that has been hindered, like, even based on how we were raised. Because, like, my experience is, I wasn't told that, oh, I couldn't be more than one thing. But you have so many people who, when they look on you and they're like, okay, how is it that you're in a traditional and a non-traditional space? I'm like, because that's how I am as a person. But that's the reality I face. I do appreciate that there are a lot of people who, they're just like, look, it's nothing wrong with being a lawyer and a doctor. But I know so many lawyers and doctors who have other things that they're doing, and their entire body language changes when they're
Definitely.
talking about their music or when they're
Yeah.
talking
No,
about their
exactly.
artistry. Yeah.
And you know, the funny thing is, one thing I want to point out. It's funny how they're defined as like a traditional and a non-traditional, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's how they do it in
Wild.
Kenya. But it's like, yo, as far back as like literally like civilization, like there's been art. You get me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
art, like
Is
art,
tradition.
art is tradition. Like art and medicine, like are like probably like the two things. You get me? Like definitely before law, right? Like
Yeah.
before law, like art was there before law, but
Yeah.
yet the
And
people
law
look at
just
art
came
as
in
like,
like, I'm tradition.
yeah, like I'm like it's non-traditional. Um, but that just came to mind because it's just
Yeah.
funny
Yeah.
when like
Yeah.
really like
Maybe we should classify it more as non-traditional ways of making like a salary, for
making
example,
Yeah.
but at
because
the
Yeah.
that's
same
like steady.
like
Yeah.
is it non-traditional because same thing artists have been making money. You get me?
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
just like it's just interesting because it's funny too because everybody looks up to these artists, right? So like if you ask anybody, mother or father, even the same ones that are saying doctor or Indian chief, they must say, yeah man, like they must say, yo, Peter Tosh, you know about them artists say, yo, them man
Yeah.
the great yo,
Yeah.
this and that, right? Or everybody
Yeah.
has a art in their home. Nobody don't have a blank yard, right? Or
Yeah.
even if they do, everybody go and have them show up on TV, right? That
Yeah.
them love
Yeah.
for
And they
watch.
We're all
admire the
engaged in
art.
art in
Yeah.
Mhm.
some way,
All
shape, or
engaging.
form.
And the thing is,
Yeah.
the craziest thing is like, yo, everything things are essential. Like doctors are essential, right? Lawyers are essential. Um, all these jobs are essential in modern day life for things to function. However, if there was no art, I feel like there'd be no reason for any of these things to even function, because the art is where people actually gain the enjoyment in their life from. So it's like, yo,
Yeah.
you have to eat food for survival. Well, not even food is a good example, but you have to do things to survive, right? In general,
Yeah.
and like society have to function. If people get sick, they need to get healed up and thing. But why are they healing up? They're not healing up to go sit down and just say, cool, I'm gonna wait till the next time I get sick. Like, nah, they're enjoying themselves, right? They're listening to music, right? Even the
Mhm.
yard itself is architecture,
Yeah.
every cupboard, right? Every lamp, you get me?
That's
Everything,
art.
it's all art and design. So I think it's really a mental shift for people to
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
that like nothing is wrong with this, and that yo, like you can do what you want to do, and you can figure out your way.
Yeah.
I forgot
I
what the
love that.
question was originally while we started
Nah,
talking.
that's cool.
Trust
We
me, you
have
touched you
so we have
definitely
like these
touched on it.
typical wrap up questions that we do where we ask you about mentorship and all that kind of stuff. But
Cool.
really quick, we
Yes.
have to know what
Have
was the inspo for the name
for the name, yo. Everybody ask this
Tessellated.
question,
Yeah.
But so, all right, quick and fast. I've learned to be concise with this one. You get me?
All right,
Um,
hit it.
so pretty much there's it was a little. I actually found a name by accident, right? Just like the word. I bucked upon it somewhere. I didn't know what it meant, and then when I looked it up, it was just almost like a perfect match, because at the time I'd started making stuff, and I was trying to figure out, hey, what's am I gonna call myself? XRZ. Came up with a few different things. They never sound good. Um, so in that word, I was like, yo, like that word just looks nice. I'm big on aesthetics, in everything. And just
Yeah,
the word, like I'm like, yo, I have like
two
the T, it
S's,
start
two
tall, right?
L's.
Two L's, right? It has the E's separating each thing, and have the D at the end, just like as a sealer. And I was like, yo, that just like look nice, right? So,
Your
so,
word.
I looked it up. I know it's a tessellation is basically it's a form of mosaic, right? It has a specific mathematical definition, but it's also used, colloquially as like a mosaic. But in math, it's like a type of mosaic that actually repeats itself. If you look it up, it's hard to explain, but if you look it up, you'll see what it is. But yeah, it's a mosaic of sorts, and I was like, yo, it's crazy because
I'm a mosaic.
yeah, like it's a mosaic. It's like a mosaic, right? It's like, yo, I'm gonna take a bunch of things from other places, and I'm gonna make something
Yeah,
new that's its
new,
own thing,
unique.
right? Off of it. And that's kind of what I feel like I do. Same thing with my inspirations and the music is just like I take different things. I take my influences from Jamaica. I take influences from jazz that I love. I take my influences from Africa. I take all these things and I put them together to just make a new thing that's it's just one thing on its own.
Yeah,
So from that, I look up the thing. I was like, yo, I hit this, and that was just it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so we know you've touched on some of these questions already throughout
Yes.
the conversation, but quick and fast,
Quick and fast.
1 minute or less. Joe has the
1 minute.
first wrap up question for you.
All
Okay,
right.
let's
The
go.
first question we
Speed
have
round. Speed round.
is
Speed
I
round.
have to
This is like this.
Okay.
Yeah, this is speed round. Let go.
speed round.
This
Okay.
is like if you make it past the 30 seconds, you move on to the next candidate for speed dating. Let's go.
Woo! So we want to know what's your
I like walking on
favorite.
the beach. My favorite music.
Ladies, for more information, contact.
Reach out. Okay.
Alright, ready. For real.
So we want to know, like, you take inspiration from so many places. We want to know what's your favorite resource. It can be a book, a website, and because we know that in general it might be hard to answer that question. So like, what's your favorite resource right now?
My favorite resource. The easiest way to answer that quick and fast is just like my favorite thing to get inspiration from is jazz music, just because there's so much variety and it always throws me for a loop when I hear something I'm just not expecting. I never know what's gonna happen next,
Yeah.
and that's where the inspiration comes from
Are
for
you
me.
are you into Nat King Cole by any chance?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, wonderful.
Joe Marie just wanted to make sure you guys could be friends in real
You
life.
understand? That's the real test of it all.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And you mentioned it already, but just I guess the question we can ask really is, do you have a mentor? Like
I
a
think
single person who you go to for advice. I know that you seek advice from other artists and that
definitely.
community.
I think I definitely I've gotten some mentorship from different people, right? And some very solid advice from different people, like you said, like Protege, Shaggy, and some different individuals, even people not in music at all, right? Like well, actually, some people, other people in music, so like our Brethren Vito, LA is a producer, but he's like in his 40s and he's been doing this from time, have whole placements. And just so I've gotten mentorship from different people. I wouldn't say I have one mentor, like you see me like Karate Kid style, where it's like, yo, like master, please, like no, like I don't have like I don't have a person like that necessarily. Maybe somebody like that might come into my life just because, you know, yeah, like I'm never trying to stop learning, and I think, you know, things happen at different times. But yeah, I think that answers the question.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay, so last but by no means least, we want to
Mhm.
know, where can our audience find you? Whether it's
Yes,
Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, website, everything.
excellent. Not LinkedIn, yo. LinkedIn is what still. But
Yo, people be sliding in
People,
people's
look,
LinkedIn DMs.
LinkedIn has
I'm
its
like, I didn't
utility.
come on here to
okay,
date though.
here's the thing. LinkedIn is cool for many things, but if you're a musician and you
I
try to
hear the
collab over
diplomacy
LinkedIn,
kicking in. I
you're
hear
a
the
cop.
diplomacy kicking in.
Straight up, you get me? Like you're literally like a fed if you're a musician and you say like, yo, bro, let's collab over LinkedIn, bro. Like not,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not it.
that's not the place
That's
for
not the
that.
vibe.
But
Okay.
yeah,
So
number
Insta,
one.
So where can we
Twitter.
find you anywhere?
So number one place would probably be Instagram.
Yeah.
You can
Okay.
find me at Tess Vibe, TESSVIBE. That's where
And
I
he
probably
answers his DMs,
I
ladies
do answer the
and
DMs.
gentlemen.
Yes, you see me across the board. So yeah, you can send me DMs, things, you can ask me questions, whatever. I try to answer as many messages as possible, as long as you say something sensible. Like if you send me hey or something, like you're not getting a response. I'm
If you
sorry.
like support Donald Trump, he's not gonna
No,
No
but
respond to you.
if you ask me a question or something, or you send me a message, like an actual message, like I'll hit you back. Then like Twitter, Tessellated, it's TESSELLATED, and everywhere else is Tessellated too. On music platforms, YouTube, everything like that. So you can find all
Spotify,
the music,
SoundCloud.
Spotify, SoundCloud, Audio Mac, Amazon Music, Deezer, Tidal, whatever
Woo!
you want,
Woo!
right?
Woo!
So yeah,
Okay,
that's it.
amazing. Tess, we can't thank you enough for being with us. And
No
thank you to our
problem.
audience, as always, for spending time with the millennial wife.
The
The
millennial
millennial
wife.
yes.
the millennial wife. I mean, Jo Marie is a millennial wife. She
Look
does
at
have a
there
whole
we go.
husband.
Oh, she has a
Let me try.
husband. Big up
Yes.
yourself. Big up yourself.
Thank you.
Let me try that one more time. Thank you to our audience for spending time with the Millennial Mike. Don't forget our weekly mentorship giveaway. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter to enter, or email us at bookings@themillennialmike.com. Don't forget, Millennial has 2 L's and 2 N's. For your chance to win a mentorship session with none other than Tessellated the Mosaic himself. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us who you want to hear from, what you want to learn about, and whether or not the Millennial Mike is hitting the mark. So, Tess, we're going to need your help with this part. At the end of the show, we say, I'm Ali.
I'm Joe.
I'm Tess.
And this has been the
The
Millennial
millennial
Mike.
Mike.
Not the Millennial Wife. See you next time, everybody. Thanks for kicking it with the Millennial Mike.
Bless.
Thank you for listening to The Millennial Mike. Don't forget to visit our website at www.themillennialmike.com. See you next time.